So you're an MBE. Tell me about that. Member of the British Empire, is that right?
Yeah, apparently so. So interesting story.
Go on.
I got the letter through the post. Do you know, funny enough, it was a strange one. I got a letter through the post,
Right.
and I grew up on a council estate, and that letter came through. I thought, oh God, what is this? I'm in trouble because it was like from the Secretary of the State. It was from like Her Majesty. It was really like an intense letter, and I thought, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I had like palpitations. I was like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
right.
read it. And it said like, we'd like to formally offer you, for all your services to vulnerable children,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, to become a member of the British Empire, which is a huge moment actually. And for me, it didn't come as a surprise, because I do believe good people should be rewarded in
Yeah.
life, but also for me it was more of the reward to give to people in our sector, so people that are giving back. It shows that it is a special thing we're doing, whether you're a cleaner, whether you're a support worker, whether you're a manager, whether
Yeah.
you're a
Yeah. Yeah.
therapist. We are saving lives, and I think it just gives recognition to all. And the most special thing about it really was my mum being able to go to St James's Palace.
Serious. I bet
Yeah,
that was
it was
wild, man. That would have
unbelievable.
been, yeah, she'd have been
Yeah,
blown away, right?
very, very proud, very proud.
Wow. I could just imagine her in her
Yeah,
best clothes, just the
yeah,
biggest smile in the world,
yeah.
unable to drop it. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant. It was
Wow.
probably the best experience of my life so far, for sure. In terms of like
Cool.
that moment with my mum, it was quite special.
Oh, I can imagine. And you grew up in an estate in London. Which one? Where was it?
So I grew up in Streatham, South London,
Okay.
and to be honest with you, I actually don't see my growing up on an estate as a bad thing, actually, especially in
Okay.
today's day and
Yeah.
age, because when you live on an estate, everyone knows each other. You hear the bounce of a football or basketball when people are going past your house. You know it's time to play out. It was a real community, albeit we had postcode rivalries, in terms of estate to estate. So it was
Right.
quite challenging, but it's kind of what led me to want to work with young people, actually, because I was between the two of trying to become a professional footballer,
Was it?
but it was a huge risk. My mum being a sort of single mum on benefits, and it was like, can I afford to take this risk?
Right.
And at that time, you're talking, God, 20 years ago. It's like there wasn't any. It's not like now you got social media. You can see the pathway. You can see, okay, this person's gone from. We only had what Ian Wright maybe as the kind of model of how to become a footballer from low levels upwards. So it was too risky. So I just got a part-time job as a youth worker, as just to try and balance out working and playing football, and that was really the insight into children and young people. So I
Uh-huh.
started work at like 18, 19, and it was the greatest thing ever, because if you've ever been a youth worker or you've ever heard of it, you go into a building that has tennis, pool tables, music studio, football, and it was just you're getting paid to play. It's a brilliant. And I was thinking, wow, I get paid to play table tennis. Lo and behold, at that age, I wasn't thinking I'm making a difference. I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking I'm really helping these young. But I was making a difference just with my presence and just with my energy and my consistency.
Do you mind if we go back a little bit? Because
Yeah,
I think, I sort of what I hear from you so far is that you're clear that you're not going to let circumstances hold you back. That's part of who you are as a person, right? You're going to deal with reality. But I think people should understand, because I've worked down in Streatham. I used to work for Kids Company, who I'm sure you've heard of, like in the past, sort of thing. And so I've worked a lot in South London with kids from those estates, and they are quite tough. I mean, they're quite tough environments, and to have an attitude of I'm not going to let that drag me down. I'm not going to get involved in the gangs. I'm not going to be part of that labeling process and the structural inequalities that do exist, and so on. That's quite that in itself, that ability to think in that way is quite revolutionary and radical, given those.
yeah, no,
Do you
Do
know
you know
what
what
I mean?
people?
It's like it
Yeah,
is.
no. People always say I'm quite, quite humble. And do you know, I come from a place of gratitude. You know, like
Do you?
yes,
Right.
I didn't become a professional footballer, but football saved my life in many ways because it showed me, different parts of London. I was able to meet new people. I was able to make new friends with people from all walks of life. But I think, yeah, Streatham wasn't. I tell you what was hard about Streatham. If anyone's ever been to Streatham, it's the longest high street in Europe, from what I know today. And that high
Yeah, it's
street
pretty long.
takes you from, you can get a bus from Croydon right across into the other side of London. So if you're a young person, as I was, you wouldn't go on the bus because you don't know who's getting on that bus and where they're traveling from. So we laugh about it now, but if you sat at the top of the bus, you were asking for trouble. So we'd always sit downstairs. But
Yeah.
as a teenager, you were considered like, not cool if you're sitting downstairs as well
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
bus.
Yeah.
So it was hard. There's loads of estates in Streatham. But I don't know. I don't know what I think, because I instantly was working with young people. It kind of it shaped my
Really. Yeah.
my pathway, because it wasn't about me; it was about them.
Okay.
So that really helped.
If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.